$1,408,784 and $633,000. What in the world do those two numbers mean? Well, the first one, the million, 1.4 million, that's the average sales price for a single family home right now in the Fort Lauderdale area. And the $633,000, well, that's the average sales price for a condo or townhome in the Fort Lauderdale area. And in this video, we're gonna give you an update on what's going on in the Fort Lauderdale real estate market here in March of 2025. So we're gonna look at everything on both the single family side as well as the condo and townhome side. We're gonna look at the active number of listings, the months of inventory, how long it's taking things to sell, obviously our average sales prices. We'll also take a look at what's kind of currently on the market right now at those average sales prices. All right, so let's jump into the MLS now. Let's take a look at the stats. So I got a couple different tabs pulled up. First off, we're gonna do single family on this tab. We got the condos and townhomes on this tab. So let's start off with, let's take a look at the active number of listings of single family right now in the Fort Lauderdale area. So as we're looking at it, we're sitting at about 1,200 active single family homes on the market right now. Compared to this time last year, we're at about 1,000, but we're right on par with kind of where we've been at the last couple months. Yes, up a little bit since the fall and December, I guess we call that winter, but whatever. But down a little bit since February. So now let's kind of see, how does that compare to condos and townhomes? Just be prepared for this one. Look at this bad boy, just straight up. And a lot of that has to do with kind of what's going on in the condo market. So if you're not familiar with it and you haven't seen some of our other videos, ever since that one building collapsed in Surfside, the state of Florida wanted to ensure that that never happens again. And in doing so, a lot of these buildings had deferred maintenance, and we required that all of a sudden, now they have to take care of all this deferred maintenance. Obviously, that's not free, and a lot of these buildings don't have the reserves to pay for it. So in order to do so, they started charging the residents assessments. Now these assessments can be as low as maybe $5,000 to $10,000, and then upwards of $100,000, maybe even $200,000. In such cases, a lot of residents are like, hey, I'm not gonna keep paying this. Obviously, they don't have to pay it all in one lump sum, but it just makes no sense for me to keep it. I'm gonna sell it. And we've kind of seen that, plus the rising HOA fees and having to have fully funded reserve funds. Now, by the middle of 2025 to end of 2025, I think we should have a better idea of where we're at condo market wise. But it seems like we've kind of, flatlined. We're not dropping any more drastically in price, and we are seeing a little bit more hit the market, but it's not like all of a sudden the condo market's falling out and things are just going for like $100,000. So as we can see, we're sitting at just shy of 2,200 active listings right now. That's up from this time last year, we were at about 1,641. Now we are slightly increasing month over month, as you can see. But like I said, in the beginning of 2025, we're supposed to have fully funded reserve funds and have a better picture of where we're at heading throughout 2025 and hopefully into 2026. Now I will say the one kicker as we get into it here, because we're gonna look at the days to sell and the months of inventory, are some of the new development condos, but we'll talk about that in a second. So now let's look at the median days to sell for condos. We're actually down, but right around the same time frame as this time last year. So in March of 2024, we were at 56 days. Right now, we're at 59 days, which is kind of down overall, looking back over the last couple months. Now let's see, how does that compare to single family homes? Single family homes, kind of similar. We're right at the same time as this time last year, 42 days in March of 2024 compared to right now, 43 days in March of 2025. And I mean, slowly, like a slight tick up from like the December timeframe, but also a tick down from January and February, which is a good sign. Now let's kind of look at our months of inventory. So we'll start off with single family homes. We're definitely entering into a buyer's market, as you can see. So just been slowly ticking up, about double the months of inventory that we had this time last year. However, I will say that we do have a lot more on the luxury side of things, and that's one of these other tabs we have pulled up. We're gonna look at the luxury housing market, and for sake of the video, we're just gonna call the luxury housing market anything priced over $1 million. And I think that kind of plays into it, but I will say, for the most part, we are in a buyer's market on the single family side. Now, there is no way around it on the condo side of things. Wait till you see this bad boy. 22 months of supply, literally double where we were this time last year. And we were definitely in a buyer's market this time last year, 10 months supply, but just completely starting to tick upwards. And like we talked about before, I think one thing that doesn't get mentioned enough is some of these new construction condos coming, and they don't get put into the MLS, they don't get put as part of our stats, but that is a huge thing right now, especially in Fort Lauderdale and South Florida, are brand new development condos. And we have everything from condos starting in the $400,000 range to condos starting in the upwards of $3-4 million range. So there's something for everyone. And a lot of buyers who are buying condos are opting to go into these new development ones. Number one, because of the prices. Number two, understanding that they have fully funded reserves and there are no assessments. Number three, I mean, the buildings are absolutely stunning. I mean, for that $400,000 price point, you're gonna have 100,000 square feet of amenity space. And there's really something for everyone, whether you have buildings like that of Bell, the Viceroy, Nativo, Andare, St. Regis Bahia Mar. Now, don't even sleep on Pompano either, because Pompano's getting some great buildings too, like the Waldorf Astoria, which will be the only standalone Waldorf Astoria residence in the entire world. The W residences, Salado, they sold out of the Ritz-Carlton in Pompano. So as you can see, there's a huge push in the condo market towards a little bit more of that new development and maybe even the luxury side, which I think does help and does hurt on the resale side as well. And we'll see right now the median sales price for condos. I think that's a good thing to look at. We're also going to look at the average sales price, especially for the sales price. But we're at $420,000, so we're down about $50,000 compared to this time last year. But like I said, the sky's not falling, the world's not on fire. Like, we're kind of like bottomed out, it seems like. We're flatlined. This is where we're going to kind of sit till things start to get worked out. 370,000, 390, 405, 384. February was an anomaly, but 420. So we are kind of just sitting around that price range. Now, if we look at it from an average sales price perspective, down about $100,000 compared to this time last year, but still right around where we have been the last couple months. So 610, 603, 528, almost 600, 663, 600. Again, February, I don't know what happened there. 722,000, then this month, 633. Now let's compare that with single family homes. So we're gonna start off with our median. Median 665,000, also down year over year, which is important to note. Like, a lot of people think the condo market's the only one crashing or the only one seeing issues. Single family is starting to a little bit too. Now I will say a lot of that has to do with some of these people trying to sell homes that need new roofs, need impact windows, need a full gut job. But overall, like I will say, we're pretty much flatlined in the single family market as well. As you can see, about 612, 600, 600, 800 and 781 in January and February, back down to 675. But I don't think that market's going anywhere. It's still highly sought after, which kind of ties us into the luxury market. So now let's look at that. So we're gonna do single family and condos and townhomes. We're gonna price them $1 million and up. So let's look at the active number of listings in the Fort Lauderdale area. Starting to get a lot more. As you can see, this is kind of a trend here. 987 listings over $1 million in the Fort Lauderdale area compared to this time last year. We were at 778. So give or take close to that 200 mark. But we've been kind of sitting kind of constant the last 3 months, 959, 977, 987. So just slight ticks up in terms of the number of active listings. Now the days to sell for these, we're actually selling a lot quicker. We have more inventory, but we're selling quicker. I know, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but this time last year, 83 days for property, took about 83 days for properties over $1 million to sell. Right now it's taking about 57 days. We're actually trending downwards. December took about 59, but overall we're like 76, 70, 60, 67. So they're starting to move a lot quicker. Like I said, homes that are, highly sought after, most of these homes are most likely on the water. They got new roofs, impact windows. You don't have to do anything. They're turnkey. Now, in terms of the months of inventory for these homes, we are more so in a buyer's market like everything else. We've got almost 20 months of supply. And this doesn't even include those new development condos, pretty much double where we were at this time last year. But most importantly, let's look at our median sales price for these luxury homes. 1.6 million. So we are down a little bit compared to this time last year, but they are selling quicker also, which is interesting. I don't think the median really tells us the whole picture. Let's look at the average, to be honest with you. This is more realistic of what you're going to pay, especially for some of these single family homes. So we are down about close to $250,000, $300,000 compared to this time last year. So average sales price this time last year was 2.6 million. Right now we're sitting about 2.355. We've come down a little bit over the last couple months. So November we're at 2.4, December 2.6, January 2.6, February 2.7, March 2.3. So it kind of gives you an idea of where we're at. Now, one thing I do want to go in here and do, let's look at waterfront, and we're going to do only homes that are on the water where you can actually get a boat in the backyard, because some people put it in here and you can't get a boat in the backyard, and that kind of screws up our numbers. But let's see, no fixed bridges, ocean access, here we go. Yeah, I think this will give you a better idea of where we're at price point wise. So to live on the water, condo, townhome, single family house with, you know, you have the boat in the backyard. Right now, the average is about $3.4 million, which is up from this time last year. We were at $2.9 million. Now, I know for some reason people like the median. Let's look at the median too. But as you can notice, I mean, we're still hovering right around, like we're holding pretty steady the last, what, 3-4 months? 3.4, 3.5, 3.4, 3.7 in February. We knew February was a little weird, but back to 3.4, pretty much 3.5 here. Let's look at the median. Median is also up year over year. So 1.8 last year, 2.1 this year, but still right on par with where we've been at, 1.9, 2.5, 2.2, 2.7, right at 2.1. And then as we get into like the later spring and early summer, typically it does get a little bit busier, so we'll start to see that. But now let's kind of see for those average price points, and let's go back so we can refresh our memory here. Average price point for a single family home in Fort Lauderdale is $1.4 million. The average price point for a condo and townhome in Fort Lauderdale is $633,000. So let's see what we can actually get for that price. So here, we've got the single family pulled up. Let's take a look. So here's one, 1.45. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, just under 2,000 square feet. So I like that island, you know. Having an island in a kitchen is clutch. A lot of people, you know, don't like it. I like the turf too. Some people don't like it, but it makes it easy. Now this is one thing you will notice. There's a lot of homes in Fort Lauderdale that may not have a garage because it got converted. Most likely this one got converted into a bedroom, but they do have a good size, let's go back. Good sized driveway for all the toys and the cars. Like, you know, I'm a car person. I'm gonna have 2 or 3 cars in the driveway. Easy. I wanna put a car in the garage and have a home gym. That's for a different day. So that's an example of one. Here's a good one. Also 1.45, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, just under 1,900 square feet, but it has a 2-car garage, which is really nice. Updated. I really like the way they updated this, painted the beams, gives it some character. Also on the water, which is really nice. Now, this one is in Poinciana Heights, so one thing to think about when you're looking at homes on the water, you're like, oh wow, that's a steal. Like Joe, we just looked at what homes on the water should cost. They should be 2.4 to almost 3.2 million. Well, comes with a trade-off. This one has a fixed bridge. That bridge right here on Federal does not open, and that clearance is low. I don't know the exact clearance on it, to be 100% honest with you guys, but it is low. So that is one thing to keep in mind when you're looking at homes on the water. Now, let's go to condos and townhomes. So here's one, 650,000, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1,500 square feet. Now, it's got a good layout. The mirrors definitely make it feel a little bit bigger. I know some people don't like the mirrors, it's old school, but it definitely gives it a good vibe, unless you were gonna change that wall into like maybe the TV wall, put the game on, so L-shaped sofa and things over here. Good sized kitchen. Washer and dryer, or washer in the kitchen. You will see that quite a bit, especially in some of these condos and townhomes, because there's a water line there. It's a condo tel. Let's see. Oh, this one's a nice one. So 650,000, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1,500 square feet. Point of America's condo. So you have the inlet right here. This is Port Everglades. Awesome. 17th Street right here. You're not too far down the beach from, you know, pretty much Fort Lauderdale Beach, Central Beach, everything happening. It's a great overall location. I like the white too. Definitely makes it pop, it's clean. Now, is there some things you can do with it? Obviously, there's some updating, but location-wise, you can't get any better. And that's kind of pretty much where we're at right now as a market. So as you can see, the sky is not absolutely falling here in Fort Lauderdale. Unlike what a lot of people online and a lot of articles are saying, make it seem like the condo market in Fort Lauderdale, South Florida, is just an absolute dumpster fire. Now, do they have some issues to work through? Obviously, but it seems like we've kind of flatlined. We're really kind of just plateaued in terms of pricing. Kind of the same thing with single family homes, kind of just flat, getting a little bit more inventory, which is a good news or good sign for buyers, Maybe not so much for sellers. However, there's still plenty of opportunity for sellers to take advantage of. I will tell you, on both sides of things, as long as the unit is redone and updated, has impact windows, a lot of times they sell so much more quickly than those that need a whole lot of work. But if you have any questions on any specific neighborhoods here in Fort Lauderdale or South Florida, let me know in the comments down below. And if you or anyone you know are looking to buy, sell, or invest here in Fort Lauderdale or South Florida in general, my team and I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. We've helped hundreds of families just like you make the move here to Fort Lauderdale and South Florida, and we'd love to help you as well. You can call us, email, text us, whatever's easiest for you, we got you.